Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Saint Cities edition by Doc Owen Show. This is our once-a-week rendition where we focus on sanctuary cities and their kissing cousin, illegal immigration. Basically, the name of the show, Saint Cities, Saint is an acronym for Sanctuary Assembled in Nature's Tradition. We'll get a little bit more into that later on in the show, but just wanted to let you know what it stood for. We are all over social media, predominantly Facebook, Twitter, as Doc Owen Show, DOCOWENSHOW, and we have a Facebook page called Saint Cities, SAINTCITIES. So Saint Cities, plural. Go out there, like it, follow us, leave us comments. That's where we go for feedback on the show. We certainly would appreciate it. We have a docowenshow.com blog, which is cranking up, getting a little bit more activity. We're getting it going, figuring out what we're doing with this frightful piece of technology called WordPress. It's a requirement when you do blogging, so it's not so much the blogging that's hard, it's the technology behind it to get it to walk and talk like we want to. But we're working on it. We have two apps, one for the iPhone and one for the Android platform. They are both no charge, as in FREE free. They include access to the entire library of Doc Owen Show, including Saint Cities. So download the app, follow us on Twitter, and you'll never miss a beat. That's the way it works. It's the way it's all pulled together. We start every show in a traditional manner. A little different for Saint Cities as opposed to Doc Owen Show, but we're about to do that. We start each one with a bit of inspiration from Miss Ima Surefire, who is in the house. Say hello, Miss Surefire.
Howdy, folks. How y'all doing?
There you go. So Ima's going to give us a bit of inspiration she's found out there, and then we will start with just like we used to do in school. We start this show with the best version of the Pledge of Allegiance that is out there by a former comedian of all folks, a fellow by the name of Red Skelton. That will be immediately followed by kind of our theme song that we've adopted for the time being called Before the Hyphens Came. The lead singer in a group called Madison Rising is a fellow by the name of David Bray, who's a good friend of ours. We've got permission from the band to play the whole thing, so that's exactly what we do until you really get an understanding of what they're saying. And then from that point forward, we'll launch into a bit more of a traditional show with some interviews, sound clips, chatter, et cetera, et cetera. So, Ms. Surefire, inspire us, please, ma'am.
And tonight's quote, as usual for Saint Cities, is from PocketFuel.com. That's PKTFuel.com. And tonight's quote comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 28. Peter, suddenly bold, said, Master, if it's really you, call me to come to you on the water. Peter was not chosen as one of the best in rabbi training school. So, as an alternative, he followed his father's path as a fisherman. One stormy night at sea, where Peter was fishing, Jesus appeared. He asked Peter to follow him. Right at that moment, Jesus asked Peter to follow him. A dream he had buried for years resurfaced, to be the chosen one. Faith is stepping out into the unknown with nothing to guide us but a hand just beyond our grasp.
Interesting.
Yes.
So he hung with it, and he got the call.
He did.
Outstanding.
Yes.
You ready to hear from Mr. Red Skelton?
I am ready.
On how to really do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir.
Let her rip.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little lead time while it queues up. We never fixed that. Here you go. Mr. Skelton is coming on.
Yes.
Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, O glory. A symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect. Because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States. Individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people. For which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
TV on to wake up and clear my head. I catch the news in time to view another stirring of the pot. Talks of inequality and what people need, forgetting what they got. But But in these times of opposition, the prejudice runs deep. Dividing us by heritage is all they ever preach. They tell us that they really care. To them it's just a game. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. People cared about who you were and less about your name. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. Somewhere down along the line, someone had a great idea. Divide us up by heritage and profit from the fear. But growing up a while back, before the racial trends, whether immigrant, white or black, we just called each other friends. And if we spoke an extra language, it was just another way to pledge allegiance to the flag. God bless the USA. They tell us that they really care. To them it's just a game. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. People care about who you were and less about your name. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came.
Before the hyphens came. There's another one that we often add to this, but in the interest of time, we have not tonight. But you might go out and find it for yourself. It's a poem written and orated by a fellow by the name of John Wayne. And the Duke did a poem back in the day called The Hyphen. It's very interesting and very appropriate to the song that you just heard, Before the Hyphens Came. I want to say something that I just realized and just thought of. You know, we've got two candidates for the office, or that's not true. We have four candidates. We have two primary candidates that are making all of the news and getting all the press. The two leading candidates representing the two majority parties, Republican, Democrats. One of those candidates is doing a very good job of never using a hyphen, either in public or apparently in private. because you don't see emails, you don't see back channel, you don't see accusations or anything like that about Mr. Trump using a hyphenated American of any kind. He's always talking about all Americans and never tries to divide it up. I think there's something to be said for that. And I think I just did.
That's true.
All right. Very briefly, I'm going to give you an overview of sanctuary cities as Saint Cities defines it. We would love to have you join our initiative and grow it into a movement. So please, if you're out there and you're concerned about sanctuary cities, rather than just roaming around your hometown saying, no, we don't want to be one, take up the alternative of it becoming a saint city. Reach out to us and we'll help you understand why it's important and how to do it. Saint stands for Sanctuary Assembled in Nature's Tradition. We focus on the fact that we all have God-given rights, not given to us by the Constitution, not given to us by our Bill of Rights, but given to us by nature, by God. And it's codified in the Bill of Rights. It's codified in the Constitution. That's where it became, quote, the law of the land. But all they did was enact nature's traditions in terms of the law. That's how they wanted to build this place. A sanctuary for Christians, a sanctuary for the military, a sanctuary for the right to life, a sanctuary for veterans, well, as well as active duty military. Yeah. You know, people that deserve our respect and protection. There's a lot of things that a sanctuary, for using the term Christmas, for goodness sake, since we're heading into that season of the year that can be so aggravating. I'll just start on it now. As you start to do your shopping or going out there and moving around, be absolutely certain to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, particularly retail stores, and see how their personnel react. If they do not say Merry Christmas back, shop somewhere else next time. Because their corporate philosophy is not in tune with a saint city. Sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. Let's take a little 1-minute break, grab a sip of water, and we will be right back.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-975-4583. That's 1-800-975-4583. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-975-4583. That's 1-800-975-4583.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to Saint Cities by Doc Owen Show. We are extremely glad that you joined us. I want you to, before we dive into a conversation about sanctuary cities and illegal immigration, what the government does and what the government does not do in terms of protecting our God-given rights, I want you to listen to a congressional hearing that was interviewing and talking to the one of the directors from ICE, Immigration and Customs. I've forgotten what
Enforcement.
Enforcement, is that what it stands for?
Okay. Think so.
It's the department within the federal government that's supposed to along with DHS, et cetera, protect our borders. They're mostly the people. They're responsible for the people and exporting, finding, capturing, and bringing to justice the illegal immigrants that come in here. So let's listen to the director of ICE answer a specific question that Congress is posing for her. Take it away.
Under this new policy, what's going to happen if and when a local jurisdiction does not comply?
Well, this is one of the things I'm considering. I, along with the victims this morning, do not want to see their lives go, without being addressed.
I hope we can all agree about that, but the bottom line is there's no consequence now. There's no teeth now. Nothing happens to these local jurisdictions. So if this is a brand new day brought on by these horrific incidents, what's going to happen to these local jurisdictions?
I'm in the middle of looking at that because, as you know, we just started implementing PEP within the last
So you don't know that anything's going to happen to them?
No, we're going to work towards that, sir. I want to talk to more jurisdictions to understand exactly what the problems are with respect to their accepting our cooperating with us. And once I understand their local problems, I think I can help them better to help figure out a solution. I don't want to be one of these people that comes in and says, I'm with the federal government and I'm here to help you.
And after you say pretty please 3 times and they don't comply, is there going to be any negative consequence?
I'm looking at that, sir, and working with the Secretary to see what we can do with respect to that.
So you have not determined yet that there will be any negative consequence?
The program has been in effect for about 3 weeks, sir. We just started. We asked for a chance.
Well, there were some victims' families here who asked for a chance, and their chance is gone in terms of their family member. 3 weeks. This has been going on for years, and you still are not prepared to say that there is ever going to be any negative consequence to those jurisdictions. When is that going to change?
I presume when you all address comprehensive immigration reform, perhaps it can be addressed there.
Ridiculous. Now we're going to the political line you just disavowed.
Comprehensive immigration reform to me is not political. It's an essential legislative effort to try to get...
absent Congress passing that bill that you and the Obama administration prefer, you don't think right now we can stop sanctuary cities from flaunting federal law? You don't think right now there can be any negative consequences when they do not properly cooperate under existing federal law with immigration enforcement?
And that's what I understand you all are working on.
Well, we've been asking to a solution for that about sanctuary cities for years. There's been absolutely no effort from the administration before. Today, after these tragedies, you're not prepared to say that you support any negative consequence to sanctuary city jurisdictions if they don't properly cooperate. I eagerly await y'all to finally say that, to finally say, yes, there needs to be some consequence, because that is the only way it's going to stop throughout hundreds of jurisdictions around the United States.
And Senator Vitter, I offer you my assistance if you would like my input with respect to any legislation you propose to try to resolve this or get...
I'm asking for your input right now. What should the negative consequence be that you will support?
Well, I'm hopeful that I don't have to hit somebody over the head with a federal hammer and work with these state and local jurisdictions, which have their own specific problems to address. I think you understand that, Senator, and that's why I'd like to work with you to try to address it jurisdiction by jurisdiction.
Unfortunately, the biggest thing I understand is that you are not prepared today, as we speak, even after these horrible tragedies, to support a single negative consequence against a sanctuary city jurisdiction if they do not properly cooperate with immigration enforcement. That's unfortunately the biggest thing I understand. If that's incorrect, please tell me how. I'm eager to hear that.
It is incorrect.
Okay, so what negative consequence will you support?
Whatever you all propose with respect to legislation, I would like to work with you on it to see what we can do to help our communities as opposed to put roadblocks in their way in their community policing.
And will you tell us what you would support in that regard right now?
You know, sir, I am so focused on trying to correct the problem through our PEP program that I'd be happy to work with you with respect to any legislation you propose.
Get a bit, that's all, folks. What a nutcase. And you know, quite frankly, I've heard that, and if you listen to the show, you've heard it several times. And at this time, it finally dawned on me. I think they're both full of monkey junk. The Congress is asking the administration what they should do. What bill should they pass that the administration would support, right? And the administration is saying, you tell me what to do, and I'll see if I can do it. And that's not the way it works. The way it's supposed to work is you don't even have to bring them in front of Congress and say, we'd like your input. I don't want your dad-burn input. You're the administration. You do what we tell you to do. As Trey Gowdy said a long time ago, Congress does not pass suggestions. They don't pass ideas. They don't pass, things that they would kind of like for somebody to do someday. They pass law. So the congressman in that conversation should say, okay, madam, go prepare your people that work for you that this is coming down. Boom, boom, boom. 3 items. Right. Write these down. If she doesn't write them down, make her write them down. Write these down. Get here's what's coming your way. These are the 3 things that we're going to mandate. I'm going to give you some ideas on those mandates that happen to be coming from Mr. Trump. We'll get into that in just a minute. But at any rate, now I want you to hear that, see if you recognize any of these voices from radio clips, TV clips, perhaps in-person visits if you're a real activist. See if you recognize any of these voices and see if you understand why the lady from the administration is so frustrating. Take it away.
We have strengthened border security beyond what many believed was possible.
The border is more secure now than it has been ever. Confident that the border is as secure as it's ever been. It is more secure now than it has ever been.
I think it's really important for this panel and the country to know the border is as secure as it's ever been.
Mr. Speaker, our borders are more secure than ever before.
Everyone here, the border is secure.
The border is secure.
I think our border with now 21,000 Border Patrol agents is under control.
Our border is secure, more secure than ever before.
The border today is more secure than it has ever been.
Is the border secure?
Well, I will tell you that there are more resources that are dedicated to this border right now and securing it than there ever have been.
More secure.
As secure.
Secure.
Secure. Secure.
Secure.
Secure.
The border is secure.
So who's lying? You and I both know.
They all are.
Yes. The answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
The only people that are not are border agents, border agent union representatives, people that can't get a large enough voice. You heard the cameras clicking in the background, as Harry Reid so eloquently said, the border is secure. Stuff it. The border is not secure. Not even, they ain't even thinking about making the border secure.
It's like Swiss cheese.
What has bigger holes than Swiss cheese? That's what it's really like.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have one more sound bite for you that is very recent. It is an interview conducted by Tucker Carlson, Fox News. Nice, bright, polite young Southern gentleman, and a spokesperson by the name of Vaughn. I'm not sure Ms. Vaughn's first name, but they give it at the beginning of the clip. And she is with the Center for Immigration Studies that we talk to from time to time. a wonderful, well-informed, straight-up think tank in Washington, D.C. So listen up for about 3.5, maybe 4 minutes. And this, by the way, was on just a day or so ago as we talk about sanctuary cities and illegal immigration. Take it away.
Well, the U.S. Department of Justice has coughed up about $342 million in taxpayer money, your money, to just 10 so-called sanctuary cities. These places have policies barring jails and the police from cooperating with the U.S. Immigration and Customs agents. New data show that money is 63% of the funds available to all American cities. So should taxpayers be on the hook for coddling illegal criminal aliens? Jessica Vaughn is the Director of Policy Studies for the Center of Immigration Studies. Great to see you this morning. So how exactly does this work, and why is the Justice Department paying cities that have policies that violate federal law?
Well, it's outrageous. The Department of Justice has a number of grant programs for federal law enforcement agencies, including one that reimburses them for detaining criminal aliens. And they're allowing even these sanctuary jurisdictions that are obstructing immigration enforcement in violation of federal law to get these grants regardless of their policy. And this is outrageous, not only because it means taxpayers are subsidizing the obstruction of enforcement and they're not complying with federal law, but the result is that criminal aliens who should be deported instead get released back into the communities and are there to keep threatening people. So it's a public safety problem as well.
Well, that's for sure. But so the federal government has traditionally withheld funds to the states that don't follow its guidelines for laws. So like when they wanted to raise the drinking age to 21, they said, we're not giving you any more highway funds until you do it. This is just the opposite. The federal government, the Obama people, are rewarding cities for breaking federal law. What does it say about their regard for the law when the Justice Department encourages people to break the law?
Well, they should not be allowing these sanctuary jurisdictions to get funding. They're undermining ICE, their own Department of Homeland Security, in allowing this. But, you know, hypocritically, they turn around and sue places like Arizona that want to help enforce federal law, and yet they're allowing these scofflaw sanctuary jurisdictions to keep doing it, and not only that, collect a check from the federal government. And this is important that now, because of pressure from Congress, because of pressure from Congressman John Culberson, who controls the Department of Justice's budget, they're now having to admit that these sanctuaries are violating federal law, and it sets the stage for other action against these sanctuaries.
So why would any of us obey any law when the Obama administration's own Justice Department is encouraging people to ignore the law?
Well, it can't go on. I mean, it's time for action to be taken against the sanctuaries. The ideal thing would be for them to reconsider their policies. You'd think it would be enough that people are literally getting killed as a result of these policies. But now they may lose access to federal funding. That could be an incentive. And if not, ultimately someone is going to have to take legal action against these jurisdictions. But this is a great step in the right direction to clarify that they are illegal.
I mean, one final point, these are rich cities, too. This is a place like San Francisco. So this is yet another transfer of wealth from the middle class to the wealthy who are politically favored by the Obama administration.
That's right. And these 10 were the worst that DOJ identified, but there are more than 300 of them at last count all over the country. But these big ones are really sucking up all this money that should go to places that are doing the right thing. But also, it's just outrageous that so much money is going to subsidize this illegal activity.
Man, you get the feeling sometimes things really are falling apart. Thanks a lot, Jessica Vaughn. Appreciate it. Good to see you this morning.
Thanks, guys. I thought that was a good interview. Tucker made a couple of good points, one of which was, why do any of us obey any laws when our own Department of Justice is not going to obey the law? I mean,
that's true. What kind of example are they setting?
I can tell you what kind of example they're setting, except for on the radio, and I can't truly express myself. Let's take a little 30-second break for a sip of water, and when we come back, we'll talk it to the goal line.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas.
Call 1-800-352-3127. Again, 1-800-352-3127. A fee-based company.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to Saint Cities by Doc Owen Show, where we talk about specifically one topic and one topic only, that is sanctuary cities and the, from time to time, kissing cousin illegal aliens, because that's what sanctuary cities basically are set up to protect. The headline says 242,772 aliens with final removal orders from recalcitrant and non-cooperative countries remain in the United States. What does that mean? That means that there are, and actually there are nearly 1 million aliens in the United States who have final orders of removal, nearly a quarter of whom are from countries that refuse to accept or that delay the acceptance of their nationals after they have been ordered removed from the United States, and they are being released into the communities every day. In other words, we got over almost 250,000 illegal aliens that we have apprehended, and we're trying to ship them back to their home country, and their home country's going, nope, don't want them. Didn't want them in the first place. That's why we ran them out. Mm-mm. Give me a break. Why? Call me dense, but why exactly do we need permission from their home country to ship them back?
One-way ticket. That's it. Gone.
Boom. Get off the plane. Dead end.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, this train's coming to a stop. Boom. All right, what do I know? So here's an article by Richard Arthur Grant that I sort of liked, at least. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but it says, "Where did we go wrong?" And what he's doing is lamenting basically the two primary candidates that we have for office. You know, that he just doesn't. He says, "As I watch the world via television, newspapers, and radio, it is hard to believe what I am seeing and hearing. I don't know where to start." But I will try it. The second point is, it brings up sanctuary cities. This administration that tells us that if we don't adhere to the transgender bathroom edict, that those states or cities that refuse to obey this executive order will lose their federal funding. The same administration that threatens this won't stop or threaten the sanctuary cities throughout the country that refuse to obey federal law when it comes to immigration laws. So what he's pointing out is that if you don't go along with their transgender bathroom routine, they'll withhold federal funds. But you go ahead and tell them, no, we're not going to participate. We're not going to participate as a sanctuary city, or we are going to participate as a sanctuary city. And they say, okay, good, we'll pay you. It's so upside down. It's even hard to explain. We need to get our foghorn leghorn routine back out here. I say it's a joke, son. How come you ain't laughing? You can say all you wish about Mr. Trump. To a true Trump fanatic, it will fall on absolutely deaf ears. All right? But the one thing that you really cannot refute is the fact that he is a championship showman. I saw some numbers the other day. They're not pertinent to this show, but they are to the Doc Owen show, so tune in for us on Thursday night, where he has just an insurmountable lead, if you will, in terms of his social media presence, in terms of his free airtime that he gets, in terms of, but mostly the social media. I mean, he's not up by a few percentage points. He's like 10 times the number of followers and likes and activity on social media around the world as Hillary is. All right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing is I'm speaking to his showmanship. So if you're going to try to give an address approximately 2 weeks before the election, and you want people to pay attention all over the country, and you're going to give like an address that says, this is what I'm going to do the first 100 days in office, where in the United States would you pick to do that? All over the United States. You could pick anywhere. New York City, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, the left coast, wherever you want to go. You got your own plane, says Trump on the side. Where are you going to go give this address? Ta-da. Trump is in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, at the Gettysburg Battlefield Monument.
Yes, we know that quite well.
And that's where he picked, the Gettysburg National Battlefield, where he picked to give this address. This guy, he just really knows how to pull all of the strings together. He vowed to sign a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. Well, that's real nice, but the problem is the members of Congress have to vote for it in the first place. In other words, they got to say, somebody's got to bring up the constitutional amendment and it's got to get through Congress. And they're not going to cut themselves off from their gravy train. So, that's a good, maybe a political talking point, but I don't see it happen. He vows to he vows to create an End Illegal Immigrant Act that funds a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border with the full understanding that the country of Mexico will be reimbursing the United States. He's not giving up on that. He establishes 2-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence for illegally re-entering the United States after deportation. A 5-year mandatory minimum for felons who illegally re-enter, and 5 years for coming back after multiple deportations. So in other words, the penalties increase. He also, he is not going to fund sanctuary cities. In other words, he talks about just exactly what they were talking about, passing a law that defunds, cut federal funding to sanctuary cities that don't enforce federal immigration laws or prosecute undocumented immigrants. It always amazes me that we have to pass another law to enforce existing law, which probably came into being to enforce a previous existing law. In other words, how many times do you have to tell an administration exactly what to do? And it's like a cat and mouse game where you lay a law out there that says this is what we the people want done, and the administration finds a way around it. They find a way to, as we say, circumvent, go outside the law. So then Congress has to say, and they come back and they pass another law that closes those loopholes that have been brought about by the administration, right? And the administration cuts around that one. I mean, when is it that you get an administration says, okay, we got it, the people want to secure the border, rather than think they're smarter than we are? It's not that they think they're smarter than we are. They want the cheap labor. They want the cheap labor, and big business pays them a lot of money to run for office and maintain their lifestyle up there in Washington, D.C. Follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. I thought Trump's 100-day plan being I wasn't so much about the 100-day plan. I mean, that's cool. He should have one. But just the fact that he chose the Gettysburg National Battlefield to make this address was pretty cool.
That's a neat historic place.
Good idea. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sanctuary cities continue to obstruct enforcement and threaten public safety. And then it shows a map, which is difficult to show on the air, but you can go out to St. City's Facebook page, and the map is there. And it's really cool because it's interactive. You can click on any of the tabs that are on the map, and up will pop the city that's behind it or whatever. So they are really highly clumped together, these sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities continue to be a problem for ICE as they refuse to follow the law that ICE tries to enforce. And that's the PEP, the Primary Enforcement Program, where they're going after the highest offenders, not all of the illegal immigrants, just the ones that have come across that are already felons or wanted for something somewhere. Sanctuary jurisdictions remain a public safety problem throughout the country. This article states there are about 300 jurisdictions have been identified by ICE as having a policy that is non-cooperative and obstructs immigration enforcement. Why would any city obstruct immigration enforcement? That's a good question. I paused on purpose. San Antonio, Texas, headquarters for St. Cities and Doc Owen Show, is a de facto sanctuary city in that it has not been declared as such by city council, etc., but the San Antonio Police Department has taken upon themselves to write into the policy that they will not, this is exactly what they say, they will not cooperate with ICE. Mm-hmm. They feel, as do basically it's the police chiefs union that feels that cooperation with ICE and asking for papers and helping to deport illegals reduces their ability to work with the local citizens. I ain't buying it.
Me neither.
We brought up that there is a thing called a U visa, a U status visa, which was brought to our attention. And a U visa, if you're not familiar, is a type of visa that's issued for cooperation with the police. In other words, the federal government will protect, not only protect, but actually give them a fast path to citizenship if an illegal alien will cooperate with us to help us run a better country. And why, for the life of me, we don't use that, it's got to be the money. It's got to be the money.
Right?
Huh?
Probably like time, too, I'm thinking.
It's got to be the money. Because it certainly is not it's just not logical. Here's something about the money. I got enough time. Where your taxes go for illegal aliens? 40%. Get these numbers. Don't you have to write them down. Just sort of pay attention. 40% of all workers in Los Angeles County, and by the way, Los Angeles County has 10 million people, are working for cash and not paying taxes. This is because they are predominantly illegal immigrants working without a green card. 40% of 10 million is 4 million people working for cash and not paying taxes. 95% of warrants for murder in Los Angeles are for illegal aliens. If you're really not picking up on this, you need to get a hold of our podcast and listen to our conversation with Joe Gazzardi, who has been fighting the illegal immigrant sanctuary city battle on behalf of better government for 31 years, I think he said, in Southern California. So he's right in the hotbed of this. So, Joe, tip of the hat. 75% of people on the most wanted list in Los Angeles are illegal aliens. Over 2/3 of all births in Los Angeles County are to illegal alien Mexicans on Medi-Cal whose births were paid for by taxpayers. 2/3. Nearly 25% of all inmates in California detention centers are Mexican nationals here illegally. The FBI reports half of all gang members in Los Angeles are most likely illegal aliens from south of the border. Nearly 80% of all occupants at HUD properties are illegal. HUD is a federal government subsidized housing project. Taxpayer money pays for this subsidized rent situation. Okay? Housing and Urban Development is what HUD stands for. AKA Section 8 housing, where it is highly subsidized. The renter pays X, the federal government pays Y, and the owner of the property gets X plus Y. And the bulk of the rent comes from the federal government. 80%. Oh, I lied. 60%.
That's still more than 50.
Anything more than 0 is unacceptable.
I mean, you're closer, you know.
Yeah, I had to adjust my context.
I was just trying to make you feel better.
Yes, I feel fine. It's the context. Over 70% of the United States' annual population growth and over 90% of California, Florida, and New York results from immigration. The cost of illegal immigration to the American taxpayer was a net, after subtracting taxes immigrants pay, $70 billion a year. And that was in 1997. It's in the 3-digit billion. It's got to be over $100 billion. Saint cities, sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. Get your bumper sticker. Go out to the Facebook page. Go out to the DocOwenShow.com blog. Reach out to us. Let us help you protect your city from becoming the wrong type of sanctuary city. One last article. Very quickly. All the president's migrants, this talks about $10 million in taxpayer dollars were recently repackaged by the Obama administration, U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services, into citizenship integration grants. The funds were distributed to various organizations that help register migrant voters, including in the key swing states of Florida and Ohio. So they're rebundling the money into grants for things with the word charity in their name. They are not a charity. They are a for-profit organization. And they're taking government grants, our tax money, to establish these illegal aliens into our society and set them up so they can vote. And they're going to vote in 2 weeks. They've been doing this for quite some time. And just keeps on. Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.